Test, 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 1, 1, 1. Okay. That looks like it's good. Test, test, test. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Test, test, test. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Test, test, test. Can you hear me? All right, Josh.
Hey, hey.
What's the latest?
Nothing much. Just got off work at around 6 o'clock. I've been working since 1:30, so.
Oh, wow. For some reason, my camera's not working, so.
Can you see me?
I can see you perfect.
Excellent. Is
So
anybody else in the chat yet?
I don't see anybody other than you, so we'll kind of wait. And then I'll walk through, I'll do a quick screen share, walk you guys through last year's presentation to kind of give you some context.
Okay.
And then we'll talk through what we got to do for this year, and then we'll be done. Hopefully it'll be a quick one, you know?
Yeah, excellent.
I'll try to buzz through it as fast as possible, you know? So let's see here. I wonder how was your day?
Pretty good, pretty good. I woke up around 10 o'clock, did some homework, and then, you know, just showed up at the rec around 1:30 and worked, which is nice. I get to, you know, just chill upstairs on the 3rd floor and just do homework and stuff and clean mats, and that's about it. So it's pretty simple, straightforward.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Looks like we have, I think that may be Eden. I'm not sure. That Eden that's trying to get on. He just messaged me. Let's see here. Yeah, we should be good to go. Snap camera. Oh, you know what it was?
Yeah, I had trouble at first, and then it.
There it is.
No.
You know what it was? It was I have my snap camera on.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've seen this before. They must not integrate with snap camera yet. It's basically a new play that Snapchat is doing to kind of get off of the mobile and become more kind of platform agnostic. So they're actually they built out a kind of a filter website.
Okay.
That should be able to work with any kind of platform that you're on as far as video goes, and you can put filters on. So it's kind of a cool concept. I think it's a good play for them.
Yeah.
But it's just not doesn't look like it's working for us with integration with YouTube.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we got that squared away. All right, so let's see. We got one. Let's see, just you. I did invite. So we should have on here Grace Eden, and Helena.
Is Braxton not joining?
You know what? I did not receive an email from him.
Huh.
I checked to make sure that was I didn't miss anything, and I didn't see anything from him.
Okay.
Do you have the ability to text him?
I don't have his personal number, but I'm going out later and I'll probably run into him. I saw him at the gym earlier today, so he's on campus. So
okay,
he's just probably out of the loop given our snow days.
Oh yeah, for sure. So we should have, if he's involved, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then that would make it 5 if he's involved in the presentation, which I think he probably would. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll make us 5. So that'll be a good number because we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that gives you guys enough to kind of spread the workload.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see where we are here. Yeah, no one has joined us. 7:07. I know Grace. Let me see if I can go ahead and ping Grace on Basecamp. Sent you the link to Gmail. Go ahead and check it. If you can hop on, that'd be great. And then for Helena and Eden. Oh, here we go. Okay, she says she doesn't have adequate technology to join the meeting tonight. It'll be recorded. Okay, because she had some computer issues. She actually lost her laptop. It crashed on her. Hey, Eden.
Hey, finally got it working.
Awesome. Perfect. Technology. I also have, so Grace is actually, Grace has some computer issues, so I knew that, but evidently she hasn't been able to find a new replacement yet, so she won't be able to join us, but she'll check out the recording probably.
Alrighty.
And we'll get her moving on that. So we're just still waiting on Helena. And also, she could join via mobile phone, just so you know, if you ever need to. Sent. Please join. All right, so I see Helena has just sent me an email. I went ahead and emailed her and invited her. So let's see if we can get her on as well. Go ahead and email her one more time. See if that comes through. Yeah, if you need to if we do something like this, you can go on, you could just join YouTube via mobile. Or even the Google Hangouts app.
Oh, okay.
So let me go ahead and let's just get started, and then that way people can jump in as we're discussing. And we can kind of, again, we'll make sure we have this recorded. I'm hoping so. That should be something we refer to. So all right. So top digital marketing trends of 2019. let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk you through last year's presentation, and then we can talk about this year's trends as I see them, and we'll divide and conquer, and we'll call it a night.
Golden.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right, so let me go ahead and see if I can share the screen here. All right, do you see my screen at this point?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Go ahead and open this up. All right, so real quick, let's just go through this presentation. So we had essentially these trends that we talked about. We categorized them in mega trends. So the first one was AI chatbots. The second was AR and VR. Third was messaging apps, and then Alexa skills. And we coined that what we called Virch. So the idea, the phenomenon of people beginning to search via voice, and that'll be a big trend. But anyway, so let's move forward on AI chatbots. So essentially the idea is this: with marketers, they're constantly looking at how do I basically respond to the feedback loop that's online now. So it's not a one-way communication. It's one-to-one or one-to-many now. So now with the use of AI chatbots, marketers can essentially be able to build out scripts and other ways that they can communicate with their customers via FAQs and that sort of thing. And you can see, I'll show you an example of that. So again, a lot of the conversations that are going to be happening online, especially related to customers relating to brands, is going to be assisted via AI or chatbots in some form or fashion here as we move forward. So obviously that gives them 24/7 access to their customers, and also the customers are getting satisfied with their questions. They have to wait on someone to be live with them, so they're able to go ahead and answer questions, move along the customer journey, get their answers, and hopefully move them to purchase or the next step in their journey. And they're not even around, okay? So they're not even in the office. And so the other trend that kind of falls in line with that is this idea of messenger apps. So messenger apps, although email is always going to be a workhorse, messenger apps are going to be more and more important. So these messenger apps, like Facebook is obviously built out in their messenger app, but also like WhatsApp and others are becoming more and more popular. So let's see, and I'm talking even more so from a global perspective, but this is an example. I go on to Whole Foods Facebook page, and you can see an example of interaction with a chatbot that Whole Foods has in their messenger. And so in this case, I just typed in, hey, do you have any recipes for, I think I put in quinoa, because at that point, or kale. Okay, kale. I'm still on the kale. Quinoa was a big thing for me last year, but I'm still on the kale, my go-to. And all of a sudden, boom, immediately, if you go onto Whole Foods, you can test it out yourself. They respond with, here's some recipes. You have a click through to the website, as a scroll through on a variety of different ways that they take their product, make it relevant for me, and obviously show some usage, and basically they're allowing me to share, like, interact. Okay, so that's an example of how chatbots are basically moving people down the sales continuum, building a relationship, all done via automation. And so, again, I pull in, do you have anything on tiramisu? And boom. Again, it's all built on their understanding the customer. So they've obviously been listening to the customer, they have their common questions, and they probably built out a series of responses based on their most popular requests. All right, and so let's keep moving. That's an example of how AI and chatbots are being used. So the other thing is, again, this idea of Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. Instagram is the number one thing we want to basically highlight this year. It was last year as well, but they're on fire, and I do predict that Snapchat is probably either going to get bought out, or they will go away, or they're going to try to have a pivot on their business model, like this filter website that they put together. So here's an example of how you're going to have AI interact with home, and as it relates to even this idea of virtual or voice search. So think about packaging with pictures, advertising, collateral material in your home. Anything with an image on it now could be recognized, and you can build in a whole series of scripts with this. So picture this being a direct mail piece that we sent in the mail. Okay, so the concept is we're going to be interacting with physical things in the home, but also the assisted devices, okay, whether it be Alexa, Google Home, etc. The next one is AR and VR. So the two distinctions between AR and VR. AR, think of it as augmented reality that you are a part of. So you're out in the world and you see something that is another object in your space. So think of Snapchat, etc. When you talk about VR, now you're going into somebody else's world. Okay, so those are two different distinctions. Okay, AR is basically you're still in the world, your real world, and you're just adding elements in that real world. Versus VR is you're actually going into a different space, a different world that you're being immersed into. So an example of how these can play out, think of a museum or even our university. This is something I'd like to do with Olivet and McGraw School of Business. What if we had a virtual tour that we could create for students that are looking to, again, potentially join McGraw School of Business or come for a visit virtually? We could put together some kind of a 3D experience for them. With IKEA, they have an app that you can basically go into any one of your rooms, and you can add one of their chairs and see how that looks dimension-wise, or a table, etc. Have you guys seen this?
Nope.
No.
Okay, so this is an example of, again, I'll just show you real quick AR and what I mean by AR. So you can see that we're in our real world, and we're just adding elements to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So think of the applications, though, from a marketing standpoint. We could have scavenger hunts that are tied to promotions. We can have different things that, if they are in a geo-targeted area near our restaurant, we can offer a special message to them, right? We can do a variety of different ways that we can use this kind of AR technology. But the concept is we're in a different space. Now, the same holds true with IKEA. So if you've downloaded a IKEA app, you can basically take their AR app. Again, anything in their store is accessible, and you literally can start to build out your entire decor for a room in actual physical space and to your spec of your room. Okay, so you can measure it up, and it will show you exactly, hey, is that couch going to fit in our particular living space? So it's pretty dynamic. And again, at a click of a button, you're able to purchase, right? Or you're able to cross-sell or upsell or that sort of thing from a brand's perspective. Now, this is when we're talking about VR. Now, this is going to be a big piece of Facebook's future. They've built out Spaces. Have you heard of Spaces yet?
Nope.
All right, so let's take a look at the way, and think of it from a marketing perspective. Different brands, companies are going to begin to build out where you're not just texting or even video chatting with your friend. Now think about you actually going in their room and hanging out with your friend in their room across the world via Facebook.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
So Spaces is going to become a big part of Facebook's again, their future, and you could probably look towards other applications like that. Okay, and so again, this idea of messaging app is going to be more and more part of our daily lives. People are adopting. You guys have messaging apps?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so even more so than, again, email is still strong. It's still a workhorse as far as marketing, but when it comes to messaging apps, they're on the rise, and you could see the way a lot of the big players are incorporating messaging apps into their actual experience for their customers. Okay, so it's going to be a big one. You're going to see a lot of integration with messaging apps. So let's talk a little bit about some of these. Again, the same technology that you could work off of as far as, you know, whether it be a desktop, it could happen via messaging app. Now, one of the dynamic things you can do with messaging apps is now you're dealing with, instead of one-to-many, now you're one-to-one. Okay, so let's just take a look, for example, at one of the bigger players in the world, like WhatsApp, WeChat. These are the big ones in other parts of the world, bigger than, you know, a Facebook and that sort of thing. So I'm going to show you an example of one of the messaging apps and how it's being used with a marketing application. So WhatsApp partnered with Hellmann's, or Hellmann's mayonnaise basically used WhatsApp in a way that's pretty dynamic as far as marketing goes. So here you go. You see what I'm saying? So you see how the application of these things could be pretty dynamic as far as the ability to directly communicate with your customer in a relevant way, even real time, one-on-one. Okay, and so this idea of Alexa skills now becomes a part of, again, our home. Essentially, it's the idea of this Verge concept, and really what this will tie into is one of our trends that I'm going to highlight for 2019, which is essentially content marketing. Okay, so let's take a look at an example here. You could see some of the brands that are winning, and essentially, here's the idea: you probably have Alexa skills or Google Home in your place, and instead of an ad popping up for, say, Tide, now brands can enter into the home and literally in a moment's notice be able to go ahead and meet a need. Not sell something, but just basically meet somebody's need in a real way. And that's what marketing is, right? Find a need and fill it, build trust over time, and hopefully, obviously, they're building equity. So think of it this: if you walk into your dorm, your house, okay, and there's water everywhere, literally it's knee deep. The pipes burst because it was so cold out. And what do? What's the first thing you're going to do?
You
Call
can
someone.
Yeah, you're going to call someone, and you'd probably be on the phone, right? and it's probably going to be via mobile. And so essentially the idea is, you know, it's not your mom, your dad, or anybody else that you call first. Usually it's going to be a local kind of a you know, plumber or something that's going on. So the idea is this: imagine being able to also, when you have that problem occur, you can actually just talk to your phone, and the search, you know, basically the idea is we have to start from a business standpoint. They have to start building in this idea of voice search into their actual websites. So it's no longer just text. They have to build in this thinking of that people are going to actually be speaking to their phones when they're searching for their product or service. So here's an example of that. Okay, you get the concept, right? So think about every single brand out there, not just putting ads out there, but now entering the home in a relevant way. That's the concept, okay? So basically this idea of Verge is a big one. And the concept is if you're meeting needs via like an Alexa skill as a brand, your ratings are gonna go way up as far as, you know, the affinity that you create with your customer. So the other thing that this ties into, this idea of providing more content than ads, paid ads, okay, is this idea of your audience, or maybe your generation, millennials. Essentially, we live with an ad blocker on, right? We're finding more, we're on-demand TV, Netflix, etc., and we're finding more and more ways to tune out advertising. So this concept is going to be more and more important to marketers. How do I stop thinking just traditional advertising and start moving more into more of the content development, okay? And so, again, this all leads towards this idea of lifetime value, that we're building trust with content. They know you, they like you, and you're obviously going to be generating customers as a result. So this idea of SOS, okay, we basically, those are some of the concepts that we talked about as far as mega trends. And then we were like, okay, we're talking to small business owners, so we want to, what can you actually do, okay? So we wanted to come back with, those are some big trends that maybe a lot of brands that have big marketing dollars are going to be using, but what can you do as a small business owner? So we kind of just did this whole SOS, like small business owner solutions kind of thing. So here's what we're going to talk through very quickly. So video is king, and actually, I put down that video is queen this year, so that'll be one of our trends. Video is still going to be huge. Micro influencers, we talked about last year, but actually this year it's nano influencers, okay? So that's going to be the big thing, nano influencers. And so that'll be another trend that we're going to talk through. And then authentic storytelling is still there. And then Verge we talked about. These are the ones we talked about last year. So again, Zuckerberg quote, video is going to be huge. It's not going anywhere, okay? So we're going to definitely be talking about that this year as well. All right, so let's go ahead and let's show you a couple of ideas here. I'm going to try to go a little quicker here on these next ones. So a couple of things. One, we're going to want to touch base on FOMO, fear of missing out, okay? This idea of ephemeral stories. The idea is, hey, more and more of these small business owners, what we want to recommend to them is you want to tell your story in an authentic way. The one thing that they can compete against big brands with is authentic stories. They're a small business, right? They're the heart of America. So tell their story in a way that's not polished. It's a story based, you know, and it's getting them their customers into the real insider circle of what their company's all about. So that will be one of the trends we talk about. All right, so that's one of the stats. The other thing is live. Facebook is bought into live, obviously with Instagram as well, that they bought that. You know, live is a big part of the video space, okay? And so one of the ways that you could see live became a big deal is basically Facebook's essentially starting the whole TV channel. I don't know if you've seen Facebook Watch, but here's a quick, I'll just do a quick part of this. So Facebook has basically invested heavily in creating this, what I'm going to call new TV. So I think of the future here, we're going to see TV is basically social. And we don't necessarily go to the traditional platforms. We're actually now, where TV shows are actually, they're interacting with us, we're interacting with them, we're interacting with the other viewers. It's like everything combined in one space. And that's the way TV will look in the future, especially then you start adding VR, AR, and some of the other things you can do. It could be pretty cool. But this is where Facebook is going. They're invested in it. They have brands that they've launched with. And, eventually it's going to be huge. Like Tom Brady came out with Zone. I won't play it, but essentially you'll see Tom Brady versus Time. He came out with a documentary last year around Super Bowl to help launch the Facebook Watch platform. Okay, another example I had on here was, again, this is an example more of a local buzz that was created. So a guy can get on, a local business owner, think of it as a local business owner getting on a local news channel with this type of a technology. It doesn't have to be all national TV. And so the idea of micro-influencers is actually going to go scale down even this year. So this concept was, it was a revolt against the larger influencer, the ones that had the large followers, the Kardashians, okay, of the world. You saw how Kardashians, they sent out one, I forget which one it was, but she sent out one little post on how she hated the new Snapchat update, and essentially Snapchat lost literally hundreds of millions of dollars within like that same couple of days. And so a lot of brands are like going, okay, we can't put all our eggs in, number one, these types of influencers that can damage our brand if they would like. But two, we also started seeing a lot of backlash as far as fake followers, bots, etc. that are, these numbers are a lot of times inflated with these mega influencers. So then last year came to this micro influencer idea. But even this year now, we're going to bring it down even further to people that are fewer than 1,000 followers. And it's all about engagement. So like if you have 500 followers, but you have a niche that people like, and you're specifically talking to an audience that actually engages with you, that the trust goes way up. So think about it from a small business owner that you guys are going to be talking to, Chamber of Commerce. This is their sweet spot. They can go to nano influencer, with fewer than 1,000 followers in a local Kankakee County, for example, but really target people that, they have a good following. It's not going to be like this huge thing, but it's targeted following, it's localized, and the trust. When people post about things on those types of accounts, they trust that this is something that they actually care about. It's not just a sponsored post that they're getting paid to do. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So nano influencer is one of the trends. So again, this is the idea of $1.3 billion after a tweet from Kylie Jenner. I said hundreds of millions, actually 1.3. And so again, last year we talked about micro. This year it's going to be nano. And then we moved into Verge last year. Again, more and more people are going to be, there are so many businesses waiting to happen from this, you guys. You guys should figure out something to come up with before you leave the campus. But the idea is this: voice, 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 okay? Speaking into your phone, speaking into things like Alexa, speaking into all kinds of things that are devices, right? And so get used to that, and it's going to continue to happen. And this is a space where marketers are going to be, it's a gold mine. So even like things like podcasts, audio podcasts, huge right now. Like people are popping up audio podcasts everywhere. All right, keep it moving. So again, just the idea of voice. Google is now going to begin to give us a little bit of a algorithm boost as we start to build into our websites this idea of people are speaking into their phones and they're looking for search. Okay, so there's a bunch of the stats that we pulled. You can see that Statistica. So things at the library you guys have access to via the university. All right, so keep it moving. So here's just an example of how we showed them. Okay, how does it mean to you? Someone gets home, hey Alexa, find a plumber, the analogy I gave you, and you could see, boom, here comes a site. It's optimized with, number one, it has page content that is relevant to what they're looking for, right? They're ranked on Google Maps, and it's content that they're curating based on. Now the real big thing that I want you to take away on this, again, this is from last year's, but it's the idea of typing versus talking. So like, for example, when you type, it's a little bit different than the way you talk. So the words, from an SEO standpoint, the words that you have to account for in your website is different than in the past of someone typing something out. So it's more conversational. It's a little bit less formal when we look at SEO or keywords that we want to build into our web pages, and because we're accounting for the voice over the type. All right. So this concept of authentic storytelling is where we landed. I think that's gonna not go anywhere. We want to keep this concept, this idea of authentic storytelling. So again, is essentially where we're going to go. So let me just give you the breakdown. I sent you, I think I invited you. Yeah, I invited all you guys to this shared doc, and this is where we go from here. Okay. So essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to have a title page. So here's your trend. Okay, and I'm going to give you the trends that we have. So we have a title page to kick off your trend. What is the trend? So it's basically a quick introduction, kind of some definition, if you will, to that trend. Give them some context. Why does it matter to marketers is the third slide. And that one will give you, that's where we pull our secondary research. We maybe have a commentary or a quote from an expert. We have some statistics. We have that sort of thing. Think of that slide. Slide D is essentially, now let's show you some examples. Here's some best in class or best in breed examples of this trend in action. We give a couple examples, and away we go there. Photo, video, multimedia to illustrate that case study example. Then we summarize the trend. That's your slide. And then at the very, very end, we have some sources and maybe some recommended reading that you provide at the back end of the deck. And that's basically, that's our assignment. That's our mission. Not a mission impossible. You can see it's pretty mission possible, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
All right, so cool. So let me just go ahead and give you the trends, and we can call it a night, and I'll just answer your questions if you have any. But let me grab this here real quick. I'm going to put this presentation for you on our shared doc, so you have it. Last year's presentation. I have an E is sticking on my keyboard. All right, so I'll have that for you. All right, so here we go. And I started to put together some secondary resources, or sources, I'm sorry, if you will. But basically, you'll be able to find a ton on these. So here's our trends. Number one, wired for story. So again, this idea of the power of storytelling, this concept of, especially as we put it in context for these small business owners. One, this idea that, hey, create content with characters in mind, almost like you're creating a novel. People, I mean, literally, God has wired us for story. I mean, that's the truth, really. The larger story, we're being called into that large story. But the reality is we're wired for story. So people love a good story. So the characters, how do they tell the story about the owners, the origin story, right? The superhero, how did Spider-Man become Spider-Man? Hulk become Hulk? How did, where did Wonder Woman come from? People love that stuff. So what's the origin story of the owner? Who's the staff, involved? What about the customers? Getting them involved in user-generated content. And then we loop in the third-party nano influencers, right? And they come into the picture. They're part of that, that crew that is going on this journey with all of us, and they intersect with the story at times. And then this idea of the product is the story. So how do you highlight that? So the concept is, We're going to talk to them about, hey, you want to build in this discipline as a organization. Maybe you've never thought this way as a small business owner, but literally start thinking of yourself as a storyteller. Okay. And then number 2, content is king. So this concept of inbound marketing is what you're going to want to search for, and content marketing, inbound and content marketing. And this idea of Google came out with a study, it's called ZMOD, to say zero moment of truth. But essentially the idea is this. And then ROPO is research online, purchase offline. So this concept of customer journey, having small business owners start to go, you know what, we need to understand our customer journey in a way that we've never done before. Because people are more educated now because they have technology at their fingertips. They can do research on us. They can find out in price comparison. They can do all these things before they even get to our store. So the idea is you have stimulus, then you have this research online, purchase offline concept, but then you have this zero moment of truth, which is zero moment of truth is that first time you have a stimulus that says, I have a need, and the need is I want to get a car. And so the very first thing you guys do, go online, right? Start looking online, and you're doing your searches. So that's the idea, is making sure that they understand where their customer is going to go first, that zero moment when they first have that need, and what are they looking like online? What's their reputation look like? What's their footprint? Are they leveraging all that? Then the first moment of truth, they hit the website, right? They go to the second moment of truth. They actually go to the dealership. How are they greeted? Is it clean in the parking lot? Et cetera, et cetera. How are the staff trained? All these things are part of that whole idea of the content, because essentially it boils down to, even content in the sense of what are you telling your customer service rep when they answer the phone, the sales rep when they greet you at the door? Are there scripts in place, like Chick-fil-A, right? And then you have this ultimate moment of truth, this idea that, hey, you bought the car, what's happening next? Do you get the personalized note? Do you get a follow-up on your birthday? Do you have, whatever else there is? But the concept is you got to think about content from a holistic standpoint and map out your journey. Create customer personas. And if you type in persona, customer persona, you'll see essentially the idea is, and I think what we might want to do here is give them a template and say, hey, let's take a second, come up with a persona for your customer, and maybe have them do some group work at the table or something like that. I think it would be fun. But the idea is, name your customer, know your customer. Like, call your customer Eden, the BMW, whatever. See, you have to literally have a name for your customer, a face for your customer, and you need to know your customers, what wakes them up in the morning, what keeps them up at night. So they need to do that. The other thing is, think like a mini media company. You have to build an editorial calendar. This is a discipline they have to build in. Like, start planning what content they're going to develop, not just, oh, I think we're going to post a dog picture. No, it's got to be on strategy. You have to create a calendar for yourself, know what you're going to be planning out. And then literally everybody, when with my restaurant that I owned what I would tell my staff is, hey, everyone's paparazzi. Think of everybody you have to have the mindset of paparazzi. When Justin Bieber walks out the door, what happens?
Everyone wants to take pictures.
Yeah. So literally I always tell, like I would tell my staff, like, literally you're an employee, but no, you're actually a paparazzi, and have your phone ready. And anytime there's a customer that's having a moment, or the employees are having a moment, or whatever, we're literally looking for those moments to capture via video or picture. And then they need to think that way too. And then the last piece is pillars and posts. So essentially the idea is create long form content that's going to meet a need. Hey, I have this plumber issue going on. What does the plumber create as far as content on the website that's going to draw that customer's attention? What happens in sub-zero weather and your pipes burst? Article, boom. That's what if I was a plumber right now, that article would have been queued up on my website, and I would have videos and et cetera, talking about, the Midwest weather and how to deal with it, right? Mm-hmm. That's how you do it. So the concept is that. And then so it goes from there, the long form, and then from that article about the weather in Chicago, then I'm going to take all those that content, and I'm going to come up with basically about 10 different social media posts that I can use off of that one long form content. I'm going to slice and dice in 1,000 different ways, and I'm going to use it on all of my different channels. And then if content is king, video is queen. That's the third trend. Video first, product videos, demo videos, explainer videos, fear of missing out, story-based videos, go live, create long-form videos, you know? Like basically they need to be starting to think you have a production piece of equipment in your hand with an iPhone, HD quality, rock and roll. And then 4 is you have to pay for reach. Gone are the days that we can just literally, hey, you know, social media, oh, I'm not understanding what social media is all about. As a small business owner, I'm speaking from them, from their perspective. They didn't have context. What is it for? Why do we do this? It's a waste of my time. Where's the ROI? A lot of it was freebie posting, not strategic, and as a result, they really didn't know what the goal was or what was happening. But here's the thing. People are, the Facebooks of the world, the Instagram, they're taking away the reach, right? Organic reach. Not everyone's seeing your posts anymore, so now you have to pay for social. You got to start learning how to run ads on social. I say Instagram first, Facebook next. Right now, they're still super cheap. As far as cost effective, compared to traditional media, it's still the Wild West. You can get a ton of value as a small business owner targeting on with paid advertising. So you got to supplement your social free content marketing with paid advertising. That's 4. And then last is mandatory mobile. Google came out with a whole update that basically a couple years ago, but then they actually re-emphasized it this last year. And literally, if you just put in Google mobile first experience, like mobile up, it's there. They'll ding you. A lot of small business owners, you'll be surprised. I made a ton of money doing this, selling mobile optimized websites to small business owners because they don't have the time and they don't have the expertise. But then, so there's actually, believe it or not, there's a lot of different small business owners still that do not have mobile friendly websites. You got to pinch and pull. You can't see the text. You know, it's not optimized for full mobile experience. And the point of that is, number 1, Google's going to ding you. Number 2, the 0 moment of truth when your customer hits your website, if it's not mobile friendly, what are they going to do? They're going to chat, right? They're going to bounce. They're going to go to someone who's got a better experience. So that is our top trends. We have 5 of them. If we divide and conquer, you get 5. You get 1 apiece. All you're looking at is probably like 5 minutes of content to actually produce. And then let me stop sharing my screen here. And then what I will do is I will actually I'll go ahead and help you along the way. So if I need you to essentially do this. In the Google Doc, assign yourself, put your name by the trend that you want. And then essentially what I'll do is I'll help you along the way. So you basically do secondary research, gather your sources. Now I use a tool, just so you know, let me share my screen one last time real quick. Let me show you the tool that I use, and a lot of times with actual classes, I'll have folks use this tool, but it's called Zotero, okay? And so essentially, when you are on a website, you literally can just press this button right here. It's a Chrome extension, and you have to have the app running. But essentially, let me just do this example. I'm gonna open up the app. Okay, so the app looks like this on your desktop. And so, like, for example, if I'm over here and I want to capture something in the way of club projects or any kind of folder, you can create your own folders. And essentially, if you click a button on your web browser once you're searching, you literally will cite the whole thing. It'll give you the citation, the source, etc., just with a click of a button. So, like, if I'm on here and I want to go to top trends, you know, let's just, whatever this is, I have no idea. Okay, so I want to do this, and I'm going to go ahead and go boom. And you'll see right here it pops up, and I can save it to my folder. I'm going to put it in here in my library, and essentially I can tag it, whatever trend you're looking at, a little boom. and done deal. And now it's saved for you. So now you literally, what I'm saying is, this is a quick way. It's called Zotero. It's a quick way so you can go ahead and create your secondary or your resource citations, and that way you can remember, like, where did I find that thing for later. So if you would like to, you can put it on there. It's not that big of a deal. There are sometimes people get confused, but basically you can download the app, go to Chrome extension. It has directions if you want to, but not necessarily a must-have. But I just wanted to share that with you. That might make life easier for you. All right. So let me go ahead and undo that here. Boom. So put your name by the trend. Start doing your searches, okay? Again, use some of the lingo that I have given you as far as some of the text. You'll find plenty of research on there. I have some resources to start looking at in the document below there as well, the starter links. And then come see me. Over communicate. He's like, ZMOT, what was that? You know, what are we doing? And just I'll talk with you, and we'll dialogue. We'll get it worked out. That's the way we did it last year. You're not going to be by yourself on it. See me on your particular trend. I'll help you along the way, and we'll rock and roll. And so I'm gonna. Last piece is I talked to Barbie Watson, the CEO of Chamber, and she said end of March is when she was tracking to have something, and she was thinking maybe even have it at Olivet, which would be cool. And then so that's kind of the time frame. So we got a little bit of time, and I'm thinking like 5 minutes a piece, 5 minutes per trend. It's quick hits. It's all gold. We don't no fluff. Just boom, boom, boom. And any questions? I'm done.
Nope. Anything. Sounds good.
Could you share that document again, the top digital marketing trend outline? I don't know if I got it, but other than that, we'll go
yes. Okay, perfect. So yes, so that outline as far as the slides go?
Yeah.
Okay, the slide outline, it's on the Google Doc now, the shared one.
Okay.
It just has like basically, I'd say like 6 different slides.
Excellent. Thanks.
All right.
Sounds good.
I think this recorded. This will be great. So, what do you guys? Let's check this out. Just talk to me for a second, one person at a time.
Hey, what's up?
Okay. Next.
Yeah. What's up?
This is a great way to do like a virtual focus group. Can you see how this would work?
Yeah, it's really cool.
I love this technology. So, anyways, have a great one, you guys. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow on campus.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good.
See you.
Thank you.